one of my fears. Of my confidence people, I wouldn't be able to help.
And what would that have to do with you? Because if somebody doesn't want to help themselves, say they're the horse that you take to water, but they don't want to drink, what would life feel like then? When you plastered a label on your head that said, I am not a good hypnotherapist because I can't help this person.
I'd feel disappointed.
You'd feel disappointed in yourself, even though it was the client's fault.
And I didn't find a way around it.
There are some clients that one can't help. Do you think I see clients whom I can't help? Do you think everybody that I see is somebody whom I could help? So you think I sometimes see clients that I can't help?
I guess you do, because it's up to the client.
And do you think I'm a good hypnotherapist? Or do you think I'm a good hypnotherapist? I've seen lots of people I can't help. And who do you think I blame?
Themselves.
Sometimes. And how do you think that person whom you can't help would feel? You've got clients sitting in the chair, you can't help them. Doesn't matter what you do. Beat them with a stick, you can't help them.
Because I'd be afraid that they'd rubbish me as a hypnotherapist.
You're afraid that your client would think you're rubbish, would rubbish you.
That they would flip back on me.
How would you know that your client thinks that you're a rubbish hypnotherapist? How would you ever know? How could you ever see into someone's mind to see whether you know that they think that you're a rubbish hypnotherapist because you can't help them because they can't help themselves?
I suppose I wouldn't know, but I'd expect I'd find there'd be a vibe from them.
You wouldn't know, but you'd make a good guess.
An assumption, I suppose.
Yeah. And just say I was one of your clients and I was absolutely convinced that you were a rubbish hypnotherapist because you couldn't help me and I told you so. Just say. What do you think my relationship to you would be? What do you think my transference relationship with you would be? What way do you think I would see you? Say I was a little girl, how would I see you?
Possibly as a mother or somebody, a teacher or somebody in my past.
And if I, as a client, a fee-paying client, came along and saw you as my mother and hated your bloody guts, wanted to kill you, resented you, wanted to rebel against you and say, Bernadine, you're a bloody rubbish hypnotherapist. What would you think? Considering that I'm thinking that you might be my mum.
Unless it's working. That's true.
That it's working
It's your stuff,
because
yeah.
it's my stuff. So would you be helping me?
Yeah.
So how can you be a rubbish hypnotherapist? I've just told you you're a rubbish hypnotherapist. So how can you be a rubbish hypnotherapist? Because you're helping me. And yet I've told you that you're rubbish. Not going to come and see you anymore. And send every euro that I pay you. So when I walk out of the door shouting and, you know, telling all the neighbours or your other colleagues in the clinic, what would you be thinking?
That I've helped you, but you don't realise it yet.
That's all right. So can you conceive of any situation in which you could possibly be a rubbish hypnotherapist?
No.
So what else shall we talk about?
I'm hurting myself then.
You're doing what?
I'm hurting myself.
You're hurting yourself?
I'm hard on myself. I expect a lot from myself.
Ah. And who else in your life expected a lot from you?
Well, I suppose my mum might be the one that... Well, she never put me under pressure or deadlines or said I must get certain grades or anything. I know she'd have been hopeful and she would always praise me for how well I'd have done. Even if I felt to myself I didn't even do that well, she always praised and encouraged me. So I think that in itself probably meant that she had, I was trying to live up to making her happy.
Well, you might have needed to do that in the past. Do you need to do that anymore? You might have needed to do it when you were very little. Do you need to do it anymore?
No. But I do it.
Do you need to go on doing it forever?
I don't in that respect, but where she's almost 80, I do feel that even though it wouldn't be expected of me by her, but I expected of myself to look after her in her old age kind of thing.
And do you think the point would ever arrive in your life when you didn't need to please her and to earn her respect or live up to her expectations or whatever you like to call it? Do you think that's going to happen forever? Think you're going to go on doing that forever?
I think I will in some respects because I expect it of me. I'm not, more so than she would expect it of me. I expect it of me.
Yeah. Do you expect the same amount of yourself now as before we looked at that dream?
No.
So your expectation of yourself is getting smaller, is that right?
I'll put less pressure on myself.
So say we had, before we looked at the dream, you put 100% of pressure on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How much pressure do you put on yourself now? 50%? More, less?
Go with the flow kind of thing.
So kind of percentage-wise. Now that we've looked at the dream.
Around about 50%.
50%?
Yeah.
So you've made a 50% improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And have you done any analysis work?
No, not apart from what we've done here in the practical classes.
So we've done some work today, and you've done some work in the practical classes, and you're going to do an analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that 50% might go down at some stage in the future?
Yeah.
Okay. So it might be a matter of time, is that right?
Yeah.
Because Rome wasn't built in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else we need to do? Or do you think it's time to think about lunchtime?
Yeah. No.
Oh, don't use the rotten rubbish one. Come on, let's go.